Hi and welcome to Bitrix24 Live. So if you've got any questions throughout this session, it's going to be an hour long, so you can put them in the box provided on YouTube. You can send an email to live@intraface.com, and you can also tweet us at intraface. Any questions that you may have. And if you do ever have any questions throughout the week, please drop us an email to the live@intraface.com email address, and we'll be able to answer them on the Thursday session for this Bitrix24 Live. So I'm happy to take any questions as we go along. We do have some that have already come in, so I can go through those to start off with. And the purpose of this session is really to help you through any issues you may be having, anything you need to know on Bitrix, and I can show you on the screen. And yeah, so we'll get started. The first questions that we've come in just with regards to somebody wanting to create new leads from clients who email a specific address. So there's a number of, the main way of doing this. I'll just jump into the cloud version of Bitrix on here. So if we go into the CRM and we go to the settings, so you need to go to CRM and settings, and then you need to go to the email here. So if we go to the email, what Bitrix allows you to do is it allows you to set up a company email address. So you may be aware that each user can integrate their own email, but what Bitrix also allows you to do is set up a company email address. So you can see here, if I click on CRM email account, and it gives you a number of different options of how to connect your company email to Bitrix. So for example, if you use the Google suite, you can use Gmail. If you use Exchange, you can use Exchange, and so on. All the different options available are here on this page. So let's say, for example, you use Gmail, and it basically asks you, first of all, for some of the criteria that you need. So you can see here that we can fetch historic emails into Bitrix. We can also specify the amount of time it checks that particular email inbox. But this is where we would need to set the criteria for it generating a new lead within Bitrix. And this was the question: how can I generate a new lead from emailing a specific mailbox? So you can see here, for incoming messages from new email addresses, create the lead. It depends if you use that mailbox for sending emails back out. Generally that's unchecked, and generally the create contacts is unchecked as well. So that will allow you to, any emails that get received by this mailbox, it will generate a new lead, and then you can specify the lead source as well when the email comes in and generates a new lead. So that's really good for if you're doing the CRM marketing inside Bitrix. You can create lists to email that maybe have come from a specific source, and you may want to do that. So you can see here that the leading contact distribution queue. So in this case, if a lead was to be created from this email inbox, it's going to make Max Smith responsible. So once I click attach, it's going to ask me to specify the Gmail account credentials, and then once I've entered those in and authorized it, then it's going to allow me to start receiving those emails. So this is probably the best way of being able to generate leads from a company email address. For those of you that want a personal email address to generate leads, then under the account, your profile, you can click on here and then click on email integration options, and it's basically the same setup. So again, you have a few more different types of connections here for your email accounts, but you can see on here that we have Gmail, and again, in this case we have this option here, create lead for all new email addresses. And the Email integration options for an individual user slightly work differently. The whole purpose of the integration for email inside Bitrix is to check your incoming emails and see if the person who you are receiving an email from exists in the CRM. And if they do, it will take a copy of that email and put it in that contacts activity stream. And if you then email them back, so it'll check your outgoing email box as well, and any email that you are emailing, again, it will check to see whether that email address exists in the CRM, and if it does, it will take a copy of your outgoing email and put it into that particular contacts activity stream. So that's what basically linking to the CRM is. So if you didn't want that to happen, you just generally would uncheck that. But in most cases, for creating leads for new email addresses on personal email, I probably wouldn't recommend it as such if it's a very active email address, because you're obviously going to receive a lot of emails from addresses that don't exist in your CRM, and for every one of those it's going to create a new lead. So I would probably go with the first option of being able to set up your company email address in the CRM settings and then email section. So that was generally how you can create leads from an email address. So then we have another question, is how to add forms to the service page so we can collect the information to begin the lead. So Bitrix offers you the ability to create CRM forms from within the system, and you can then take those forms and put them on your public-facing website. So you can embed the forms that you create inside Bitrix, and then take the embed code and put them on, for example, a WordPress site. You can put them on a WordPress page quite easily. So I'll just take you through how we can create those forms. So if we go to the CRM again, click on More, then click on CRM Forms, and then you can add a new form here. So if we go to Add Form, and let's call this is just the name for Bitrix, so we can say this is going to be a sales inquiry form. And then what we can do is we can give the actual form a title that the user is going to see that visits your website. So we can say, are you interested in our services? So you can give it a little description. Please fill in the form below if you So we give it a little description, and then what we need to do is actually get some fields into this particular form. So on the right hand side we have each of the CRM elements, and in this case the question was, how can we use a form to generate a new lead? So we want to add fields from the lead itself. So maybe if you've not set up your CRM and you've not set up any custom fields in your leads, then I'll probably do that first, so you can use those fields within this form, because it is possible to use custom fields to display within this form. And if we just click on name, last name, let's say we want a phone number and email address, and then we're going to pull in a custom field, so we can say what flavour cake would you like. That's an example of one of our custom fields within the leads. So the first thing you need to do after you've generated your form details is specify, when a lead gets created, who is actually going to be responsible for this particular lead that gets created. So we can say it's going to be Max Smith in this case. So if we click on More, then you can see here that we can remove the signature, because when the form gets created, it has the signature on the bottom of the form. And then Bitrix also allows you to specify some dynamic content in the actual form itself. So a condition based on if a user selects this, show this, or if a user selects this, hide this. So we could say, for example, what flavour cake would you like, which is the field that we've added in the form up here. And if somebody said they like strawberry, then they can show a specific field that is in the form. Now, if the person didn't select strawberry, it would be a hidden field, so you wouldn't know that that field exists. In our case, we're not going to add that, but what we do want to do is make sure that when this form is submitted, it creates a new lead. And then we have quite a few other options here, so you can create styling, you can upload your own CSS to make sure that the form fits in with your public website. You can add a success message, you can redirect to a URL on here, you can submit the form and add a failure message, and you can redirect to a URL if it's successful or fails as well. So if we want to just click on save, and then you can see here it's created the sales inquiry form on here, and you can see on this particular link it's created, I think Damien's just joined us.
Hi.
So if we click on, in fact that's happened because we've not enabled the form. So first of all we need to enable the form, and then you can see that we have a public link for the actual form that we've created. So if this was filled in, it would then generate a lead within the system. And when you enable the form, you then get the chance to get the embed code. We can make a copy of this particular code here and embed it in our site. Like I mentioned to you earlier, it is possible to do via on WordPress, to do it on any e-commerce package. As long as you've got the templates, you can paste this into the system on here. And you can do it via a button, so you click on the button, it pops up. You can do it via a text link, and you can also do it via time delayed as well. So we go a little bit more in detail this on our CRM webinar. Yeah, so that's basically how you would generate a form and have that form copy into create a lead on your website.
Okay, we've got a question on YouTube. Can you demo financial reporting on pending closed and closed deals for management view? So this really can be done in different ways. So essentially you want to see how many deals are at pending closed and how many deals are actually closed. So I guess the first thing you need to do is set your go to the CRM and settings and set your statuses for deals. So if we go to statuses and into deal stages, then we can change one to, so you've got a pending close. So let's assume that this is, or let's add a stage here called pending closed.
So with these stages on the right hand side, if you have multiple pipelines, then it's going to create a series of stages for each pipeline that you create. So you can see on ours down the left hand side, we've got Bitrix24 add-ons, deal stages, self-hosted sales, deal stage. These are all our different pipelines that we've created.
We save that. If we go back into deals, let's go into the list view, let's go into add-ons, was the one we used. So we'll now have a stage called pending closed, and if you want to report on pending closed, the simplest way is to go to your filter at the top, go to your deal stage, pending closed, and search all deals at that stage. So we've only got one. I think we can then export this, export deals to CSV or Excel. So you can export that in our Excel format for reporting on. You can see it in the list view. If you want to see that in a report or a dashboard view, then you should be able to create kind of edit one of these widgets to see deals by. Okay, we can't drill down in that one to individual deal stages. I think you just look up deals which are won or closed, and that on that widget. If we go into reports themselves, then it will be possible to create a new report to show deals by stage. Let's create a report on deals, and we want to filter by deal stage. Down here, deal stage is equal, pending closed. So this is the filter we're going to use. We might want to put on a we might want to put another filter on, which is date range, I guess. So let's just filter by start date in this case, and equal to. We'll leave that blank. We'll leave this ticked at the right hand side over here, which means that we can edit this field inside the report page. Let's take that one out. Let's add that back in. Start date, leave that blank, make sure that's ticked so we can edit inside the report. So this is the filter we're going to use. We're going to use by pending closed, and then we're going to be able to filter by custom dates. These are the columns we're going to see. We're going to see the name of the deal, the stage, who's responsible, and in this case start date. We create that report. There's no data in there, fortunately. If we expand that out, then maybe we'll get, yeah, we've got one. So we've got one deal in now. If you remember, we just had one deal at that stage, so we can see that in there. If we go back to reports, and it was that one, we didn't give it a name. Let's edit that report. Then if we go show chart down here, we can show, let's put in a bar chart and save again. And let's expand that again out to all. Then, okay, unfortunately it's not able to show a bar chart because we've not got enough parameters, I think, to show.
I think we would need to go into edit. I think you would need to pull in actual value field. So if we set total and then you specify save report, then we don't go to all. So you can start building up reports based on the deal stage and so on. So I mean, you can build these reports quite easily. You can use every field that's within the system itself on using these type of.
You might want to actually. They wanted to report on pending closed and closed. So pending closed. I think we want to put an and any of the following deal stage. See if we can find deal stage again. Deal stage equals closed one, deal stage equals closed lost. So we can add those additional stages into the report. Okay, we need to expand. Okay, I think I've done it wrong. I think I've put a condition in there, which means it has to meet both of those, which is wrong. But you can play around with that.
There you go. So I had a question. Just how do we connect additional applications such as MailChimp, DocuSign, and PayPal? So if we just So Bitrix allows the cloud and the self-hosted allows you to connect to pre-built applications as long as they exist within the application store. So down the left-hand side we have an applications menu link. It does have quite a lot of pre-built applications in there, so you can see where one of the ones that they wanted was MailChimp. So we have that. We also have PayPal. So you can see we've got a PayPal integration. I don't know if we do have DocuSign already in here. I don't think DocuSign is an actual, I've not seen it, DocuSign as an application that's pre-built in. So at the moment, out of the three that you've specified, you could connect MailChimp and PayPal. but there isn't a DocuSign. So you probably need to get that integrated in some way. You're more than likely going to need to have it self-hosted for DocuSign, unless you can use some of the webhooks within the CRM automation. So that may be possible.
Okay, we've got a question about telephony. It's quite a long question, but essentially they're looking to understand the different options for integration. So let's just explain those different options in brief. If we click into telephony, I think you've got 4 options here. First option is to use the built-in soft phone or built-in telephony within Bitrix, and the soft phone technology built into the app. This would allow you to rent a number from Bitrix. So we can click on rent a phone number. We can select our country. We can select whether we want a local or toll-free number. Sometimes you can select mobile numbers as well, depending where your region you're choosing. So it selects country. You can then narrow it down to city, and then we're given a price. I think most telephone numbers are about $6 a month. Certainly in the UK and the US, they're $6 a month. So I think you can actually rent numbers in in excess of 20, 30 plus countries, and the prices range a little bit. So in the UK, $6. So I can rent this number, provided I have credit in my system. It will generate a telephone number for me immediately, and with that number you can advertise that number. You can direct or you can direct your existing telephone number calls to that rented Bitrix number. Simplest way of doing it, and then you're ready to go. Calls will appear inside Bitrix. If the telephone number from the caller matches that of a contact in the CRM, then it will prompt you on the pop-up screen with that contact details. So you can also make outgoing calls with that number, or you can add your existing telephone number that you have with your other provider, so that outgoing calls that you make from Bitrix are made with your existing telephone number. That makes sense. So that's the simplest way of doing it. You just need a VoIP phone to plug in, a USB phone that you plug into your desktop or laptop or something. In addition, you can do the same on the mobile app, and you're paying monthly for the telephone number, and you're paying per call. If you search on Bitrix24 telephony call rates, I think you'll find a call sheet rate there. It depends on whether you're calling landlines or mobiles, depends on which region you're calling from and to. So that's the simplest way of doing it. Second way would be to use connect your existing phone system using the Bitrix SIP connector. This is relatively easy to set up. It allows, you can actually get I think it says somewhere in here, you can get 60 minutes worth of free call time to test that. So it's risk-free, and the ongoing charge for that is $50 a month. You continue to have your billing relationship with your existing provider, but the benefits are that you can integrate with the CRM, so all that things like caller ID with contacts in the CRM appear. You can record calls into the CRM. You can, of course, click and call from the CRM to contacts. So you can test that. You should test whether that works with your phone provider. It should work with most phone providers, but we find with our experience that sometimes some providers it's not working as well with. So depending on your phone provider, really, it's something you should test. Second way is to connect using one of the pre-built applications. So this would allow you to connect with your existing phone system without the SIP connector and without the $50 a month charge. These apps are free. You probably need a partner actually to set this up for you. Even though the application is free, it's quite some technical work in setting it up. So there's usually a charge for that of around $1,000, $1,500, that sort of thing, I guess. We actually recommend using FreePBX as a phone system or 3CX as a phone system. I think 3CX is our preferred phone system, so if you don't already have a phone system or you're changing them, that's what we'd recommend if you want to use it with Bitrix. And again, you know, if you're using one of these, or if you're using the 3CX or FreePBX, then that's kind of $1,500 to set up. That would work very well. You shouldn't have any problems at all, and can be set up without too much to a lead time. And then I think the fourth way is if you're outside of that, if there isn't a pre-built integration available, then there is an API in the telephony, means we can develop integration with your phone system. We should be able to develop it provided they have the right API and things. And there's quite a lot of charge for that, can be several $1,000s. So different options really, and I think probably best to have a conversation with a partner about how you do that before you go ahead and do it. If you would connect your number, you would put this has changed slightly into company phone number. Okay, so you put your phone number in here, click confirm. So if you're renting a number off Bitrix, but you already have a number that you use for promotion, a main telephone number, then you can put your existing number in here and click confirm. It will call the number, you'll get a code and put that code into Bitrix, and you'll be able to then use that as your caller ID for outgoing calls, which I think is quite important. People don't always answer phone calls if they're not from a number they recognise. There's then loads of settings, you know, we won't go into this, but you know, you can do things like create queues for things. You can have numbers route through to the responsible person for that contact. If the number's recognised, it can do that. If you have the telephone number stored in the system in the CRM. You can record greetings, and you can record telephone conversations. Telephone conversations get recorded and get saved in the contacts in the CRM. So you can actually, because in most regions you need to warn people that you're recording telephone calls. You can save recordings for all calls. If you tick that, and then you can actually play a pre-recorded message warning people that their call is being saved. Here's another feature that's quite good, transcribing call recordings. This is an integration with Google Translate, which allows, which means that telephone conversations are transcribed into text. And I guess the main benefit for that is that they're then searchable, so you can quickly find conversations by keywords and things. That's chargeable. I think it's about 5 cents a minute to use that service. Yeah, that's
okay. So I've got another question that's already pre-come in. You've got how to set different permissions for external users. So it's quite easy, this one really. To have external users, you obviously need to have the extranet, and the first thing that you need to do is create an extranet work group. So you can see here when we go to work groups, you create an external project or an external work groups. So that's the first thing that you need to do. The second thing that you need to do is, if you've not invited your extranet user to one of these work groups already, then you can invite a new user by going to employees, click on invite users, and you can see here that it says invite external user, and then you can add them to an existing extranet work group. So you can't have extranet users without them being in an extranet work group. So you can see you have to add them to a work group in here. So you can do it via this method, or you can do it via the actual work group itself. So I'm in an extranet work group here, and you can see that if I add users, I can add an external user, or I can invite just by putting in an email address here. So that's how you get them in. So the thing is with an extranet user is all they will have access to is the work group that they're involved in, and everything inside. So the documents, if you give them permission, tasks, again, if you give them permission, and so on. And it's a great collaborative tool to invite your clients in to an extranet work group. Now, what I would recommend is that you have, well, you've got 3 levels of ownership in a work group. You've got the owner, you've got the assistants or moderators if you're not in a project, and you've also got the members. So what I would recommend doing is having your project assistants or moderators as your staff, and then having the members as your extranet users. And what that will allow you to do then is specify the permissions solely for your owner and your assistants, or your owner and your moderators in terms of a normal work group, to have rights that are more powerful than the actual members. So if I go to Actions, go to Access Permissions, and then a good example of this is, for example, you may not want your extranet users to be able to create tasks. So you can see here we have a permission to create tasks. And if your extranet users are only going to be the members, and your owner and moderators are going to be your employees, then set it to group owner and moderators, and that will mean that your extranet users won't be able to create any tasks. And that's how, per every module within a work group, so you can see here you can set specific rules per owner, moderators and members, and you can separate them quite clearly in there. So that's how you manage the permissions for an extranet user.
Yeah, we've had a question which is connected to that, which is how do I associate my client with a work group I've created for them. So there's a couple of things that you can look at on that. If we go into a company, and if we go to our company, this is our client, this is the contact of the client. Oops, that's not it. This is our client, and this is...
That's responsible.
Oh yes, this is our client. This is our contact at the client, and so we can run a business process. Okay, we haven't got one on there. Let's look on the client.
It's because we're in the cloud. You need to go
okay. Let's go back into our CRM. Okay. So we've got two versions. We've got the cloud and the self-hosted version running here. This is the self-hosted version. If I go into our companies now, scroll down, find a company, we can see this is our client. These are the guys that work at our clients. And if we go to the business process, I can make live user here. Okay, so we have a business process created which will convert this person from a contact in the CRM to a live user inside the system. In addition, it generates a random username and password for them, and it emails that out to them. So once this guy has become a new client, I can quickly invite him into the system by running this process. It creates a work group as well. It creates a work group. It turns them into users. It invites them in. Does the whole thing. This process uses a bit of custom code. It's only actually available on the self-hosted version, but it does mean that you don't have to do the sort of section that we just looked at. You can do this with one click. Also, it's quite good because it means that you get the right permissions are created for that user. You're not creating extranet users manually and giving them the sort of wrong permissions, which essentially give them access to the wrong areas of the system. It's all coded into the process that's built. That's the first thing I do want to mention. That doesn't really associate them, although it does create a work group that is associated with the company. But inside the work group, there is no as standard. There's no actual association. So when you go into a work group as standard, when we go into this work group, then we can't see anywhere in here linked to the client record in any way. So you can see if you've got an extranet user, and you can see them down here. They have a little icon, globe icon over them, so you can see that an extranet user. But there's no actual integration as such with the CRM as standard within Bitrix. We have, though, developed integration which is available on the self-hosted, and we have a platform we've developed for the legal sector. It has this functionality on it, so I'm just going to show you that now. If we log in to this demo site, and if we go into our work groups, in this case we've renamed the work group to Matters for the legal sector. If we open up one of these work groups, we've changed quite a few things on this because it's specific to the legal sector. Like the home page of the work group is actually called time and tasks, but it's tasks, but it's where they can go and log time against different parts of a case or a matter. But the bit I wanted to show you was this. So we have, every time a work group's created in a slightly different way, which provides a link here called client. If we open up the link, then it slides in our contact record from the CRM, so we can click and call this client now, or we can email them from here. So it's all very nicely connected to the work group. Although, as I say, these have been renamed. These are Bitrix work groups. The work group is linked directly with the contact in the CRM. So, unfortunately, if you want to associate a work group with a CRM contact, then it's not really part of the functionality of Bitrix. CRM and work groups are slightly separate, but it is possible to do it. You need a self-hosted license. I don't think the self-hosted license is more expensive than the standard one necessarily. The figures you look at on the Bitrix website look more expensive, but their first year costs in the second year and the ongoing costs are very low. So if you look at it over a sort of 2 or 3 year period, then they're similar in price, depending on how many users you've got and some other things. But the self-hosted can be customized more extensively, and that allows you to do this sort of thing if you need to do this, if you have this particular requirement.
So we had a question come through about the Facebook integration and how to set it up. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. If you go into the CRM section and the CRM open channels, then you can see here at the top we have an open channel called Facebook. We can simply configure and set it up. So the only major thing is that you need to be an admin user on your Facebook account, your Facebook business page. So we've connected here, you can see interface. And we can specify who's going to receive the messages that are sent on your Facebook page. And when they come through, click on open channels here, the icon, the green icon in the top right hand corner, and you can see here that this is one from Facebook today. And we can somebody's put hello, we have an automatic response back, and then we can send one back saying hello John, and click on. And then on Facebook, that will come through. You can see we've got Facebook logged in. It will come through on Facebook to that particular person. So it's a great way of staying inside Bitrix, connecting all your applications together. And on the open channels, you've got things like Skype, you've got Instagram, and I think we're going to be shortly developing one for LinkedIn. So that's especially one that's quite popular. But yeah, that's what's there at the moment, and they all come through your open channels widget up in the top right hand corner here.
Yeah, so you're replying to messages from multiple channels in one place, but you're also able to record those messages against contacts in the CRM or generate new leads stored in the CRM. So it makes a lot of sense. Not only can you reply to messages much quicker, potentially quicker than having to reply individually on different platforms, but you've got a store. Did we look at where they're stored in the CRM? I don't know if we looked at. I don't know if we'll be able to find one, but let's have a quick look. The store gets leads, aren't they? So they generate leads. Looking at leads, see if there's any trend. No.
I think you would have to, if you just come out of, we've got some stored in here. If you just type in Facebook, should bring up a few that's on here. So if we click on Max Cloud Facebook, let's have a look, see if.
I was thinking of kind of chat messages more than Facebook,
yeah,
but yeah, okay.
It's the same thing, isn't it? I think it does store a full history of the chat, whether it's live chat on your website, whether it's Facebook. It does store it within the actual lead that gets created there.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, a question here: how I want to record all the time spent by every member of my team on a client project. How do I do this? So the first thing I guess about a client project is what do you want to use for the client project. So you could potentially just create a work group for that client project, an open project or a private project here. This would create a full work group. Inside the work group you would have tasks and documents, calendars and drives, etc. It might be that that's the right thing to do if your projects are quite big and complex. It might be actually that we do internally. We have a work group for each client, and then each time they have a project we create tasks for them. So depending on the size of the project and how you work, you might have a whole work group or just an individual task or a task with a series of subtasks. So let's look in a work group and see how we can record time. Go into here. Let's go into here, into tasks. Okay, so we have a couple of different ways. I mean, you can clock in. We've got it disabled on this one. You can clock in. Users can clock into Bitrix in the morning and clock out lunchtimes and when they've finished in the evening, and that time can be recorded, but that's not set against individual projects. That's recording time at work. If you want to record time against projects or tasks, then you need to assign tasks inside a work group. So we have a series of tasks here. You can see that I'm recording time already on that task, so I'm already clocked into that. I can switch and give me a warning to say that we're already in another task. If I confirm that, then it will clock up now time on a separate task. So it's as simple as that, really. If you open up this task, I can also see the time already spent on it, and I can start time. Again, give me a warning, start time from here. In addition, if you don't want to clock in and clock out in real time, you can add time in blocks. Also, if I want to add time from a previous day, if I forgot to do it the previous day, you can do that. And add an hour there, put some notes in there if I need to. And so both time elements will add together, and you can report. If you go into this is a new tab, go into tasks and reports, so you can create reports based on time spent on individual tasks. So look, if you can create a report by work group, not too sure if you can do that. Whole probably can't do that. Whole work group, I'm not too sure. We could look into that, but that's how you record or add time to a project. And then of course you're going to see we're logged in as this user, but you're going to see, if we click back into this again, you're going to see a list of time added, and you're going to see individual users. So if it's a team effort, then you'll see everyone's time and report on individual time by person across all their projects, or time by everybody on one particular project. You can see on here as well, we can put in, this one has an estimated time in, you can see here 8 minutes, and we've gone over that, so it's given us a warning, it's gone red, it's telling us that we're over the estimated time. You don't have to put that in, but it's an option.
Yeah, following on from that, we had a question just about some people have a set number of tasks to do each month, and how can you quickly create them. So, I mean, it's very simple, in all honesty. When you go into your tasks section here, Bitrix has if you go to the down arrow next to new tasks, it has a templates module. So you can see here that we have a series of task templates already been created. Some of these task templates have subtasks. So you can really build up these. So it's just exactly like creating a brand new task. So if I was to click into here, you can see that the text is already pre-populated. We've got a little checklist. And if we then were to go back to the tasks and click on new task, create task using new template, and then, for example, if we clicked on service specification, you can see here that the task is already populated on here. We've got a deadline that's set for a specific amount of days after it's been created, so in this case it's going to be 2 days. And then everything's already pre-assigned. So that's if you've got quick tasks that you need to do and they're regular, then create a template for them and you can create.
What was the question? Sorry.
How can you create multiple tasks quickly?
Okay, so there is another way. It's a business process. Shall I do a quick look at that? Let's go to the CRM. You don't have to do it from the CRM, but let's go into a company in the CRM and do it from there. So open up one of these companies. So again, business process in the company CRM. So let's say it's a task for that you want to associate with a client. Then you could have a process that's available up here. Let's just do this quickly, shall we? We don't have one available now, but let's go into the settings and automation and business processes. If you're an admin, you've got access to this area, and add template. We'll just call it tasks for now. These two auto run options, so it can be auto. We're running this business process on a company record, so it will, if we tick the when added, then whenever you add a new company record, it will automatically run this on that record. Or when we tick change, whenever you change something on that, it will automatically run it. In this case, we don't need to do that. We will save that, and then all we would do is pull in a couple of tasks up here, and then add in the content, give the task a name, who's going to be responsible, who's the participants, any of the fields that are available in the task you can predefine here. You can pull in information from the company, so task name, if we want to call the task name task for, we can pull in the company name like this, so this will be called task for whatever the company name is. You can do that, you can pull in any information that exists within the company record in this example, so you might want to pull information into the description of the task as well. And populate those or leave, none of these are mandatory I don't think, so you can leave as many of them empty as you want to.
I would always recommend just select this one here where it says bind to CRM entity. If you wanted to relate to the company and go into the company's activity stream, just make sure you have bind to CRM entity. So when basically all that means is that because you're running it from a company, then it's just automatically going to associate it to this particular company that you're running it on.
It means that when you go into your tasks list, you can view CRM, where is it gone? Companies. So if you have it bound to a company, you'll see the company it's associated with. Inside the company record, if we just go into that company record, then do you see comments on the task inside here? I'm not too sure if you see them in here.
No, I think you just see. So I think, for example, the CRM task, you can see the text that's within the task, but you would have to click on it, slides down.
So it creates a one-off post in this stream to say a task has been created.
I think it's a good way of seeing what tasks have been assigned to the company, especially if they've got a later deadline, because like I say, they do stay in the planned, and then when they pass, they get this little...
Oh, until it's closed?
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, okay, so that's cool. So it doesn't drop down the stream, it stays there until it's closed. It doesn't sit up here in a list view, does it? We could do that, couldn't we?
You could do that on self-hosted.
We could add a link in here to go view. I want to view all the tasks for Cisco systems. I could have tasks here and then view them in a list down here. That'd be quite good. So you can add a series of tasks. You can populate some of the fields that you need to populate in its very basic form, and then back in the company, I will be able to run that manually, my business process from here, and it will create those 10 tasks or what I've done in one go quickly. It will also notify. You need to notify people as well. So you'll create the tasks. You'll notify all the people that need notifying. You might want to send an email out to people as well as sending a system notification. Do it however you want to do it, really. Yeah,
and if you wanted to actually, when you run the process manually, you can actually specify, so say for example we've got a new website project here, you can actually have it pop up a form. So if you wanted to say, if you were creating 6 tasks, you could have 6 form fields here that said task 1 name, task 2 name, task 3, and you can populate it, and the data that you populate in here can then be pushed into the business process. Yeah. So it's a handy tool to have if you wanted to do that.
Yeah. So yes, you've got, as Andy showed you there, you can manually input some data that's specific to that particular event, or you can pull in this data that already exists in this record. So you can pull information from associated records, can't you? But you need self-hosted to do that. So if I want to pull in the name of the contacts and things like that, you would need a self-hosted version to do that. You could do that. And they're all associated in tables, but on the cloud it doesn't allow you to sort of pull in that way.
Yeah, just had a question just with regards to it's come through on YouTube. How many landing pages are you allowed with the new sites? So I do believe it's going to be on here. I think you're allowed 5 with the. Is it?
Does it not say on here?
Oh, there you go. So you're allowed 1 site or landing page with the free account. Then you would need to upgrade to the Plus for 5, the Standard for 10, and then Professional for unlimited. And if you've got the on-premise, it's unlimited too.
Yeah. The question is how many landing pages, but they're considered the same. The sites and landing pages are considered the same in Bitrix. I guess a normal business would have 1 site and then maybe 3 or 4 landing pages for different campaigns. So if you wanted to do that, you would need the standard edition of Bitrix. It's not possible on the free. On the free, you could just create what you want, one website. So you need to upgrade to do that.
So can you show us how to create a callback form with a drop-down list for them to select their budget? You would have to have a custom form field with a drop-down that had the budget on. So you create a custom field within, if it was going to be a lead, and it would be called, the custom field would be called budget, and you would have the drop down in there. So if you just jump into, I can just show you quickly in here.
Is this a callback form in a widget?
I think you can, well, I think you just need to get the drop down sorted first. I'll just show you how to do that. I mean, if you go to the custom fields, and then you would have to create your list in here. Say for example, this was going to be called budget. Then you would have a list, and then you would say, I don't know, you could say, give it a range, and then so on and so forth. So you can create it like that. You would need to create the drop down first, and then when you're creating a CRM form, then when you create it, so let's just edit this one. Let's edit this inquiry form here. And at the bottom, there is an option to, this is a callback form. So you need to make sure that that is checked. And then you can specify if you've got the telephony set up on your system, you could specify the number to call back to.
Does it need? Do you think it needs Bitrix telephony?
Yeah, it definitely needs you to connect up Bitrix telephony. So you need to check that checkbox, specify the phone number on your Bitrix telephony, and then, as Damien mentioned, if you wanted to then set up your website widget to use that form, it will allow you to use the callback form because you've selected that particular checkbox. So if I go to here and then say we've got live chat, CRM and callback, we should now see inquiry that I've just checked. So then you can specify that callback form on there.
This is a bit confusing, isn't it? Because you have to do it to 3 different areas.
Yeah, you have to create the form, and when you're creating the form, you have to specify that it's a callback form, and then because you've specified it's a callback form, when you go into the widget, it will appear here in the callback area. So it's quite straightforward once you set it up. So
this actually this creates a form on your website. Let's have a look. Creates a widget that appears on your site. This is a demo site. I don't think we've got a callback. Yeah, so you can add these widgets, these little tools to the widget, live chat and inquiry form. But this callback form actually. We have a telephone number in there. Okay,
you would need to put
the telephone number in there. So we played around with that form. You need to have a telephone number there, but when you submit it, it generates a call inside Bitrix automatically. So you're the user, the submitter of the form is automatically called back. So you've got to have somebody ready to take that call from your side, but it happens immediately, I believe.
Yeah, you just not you just don't use the field number. I mean, you can use the field money. You can use the field money for a custom field on there.
We've got a question.
Yeah, sorry. So the problem with the custom field is that the field type is number.
Yeah.
The attempt will show a total. I'm not sure why it would attempt to show a total. You've ever seen that before? I would recommend using the custom field type.
Total, as if they are about to pay for something. It sounds like you're creating a form with a product. Yeah, where it kind of creates a little shopping cart in the form, and you can add products. Maybe, not sure. Yeah,
I mean, when you're creating your, like I say, your custom field, it should be that you just specify the. So let me just, we're in here. Let me just go to this. Sorry, we'll go to the CRM. Let's just quickly just edit that, put it in a form, and see settings, and then. So if we just go into here, and then we have inquiry value money. So let's go into a form and click on this inquiry, pull in that inquiry value. So you've got this value here. Let's save that, come out of there, and let's just view in a public link. You should then be able to, I'm not sure why.
Works.
And it's created a callback for. It's now calling us back. So
works.
So you can see it's calling back.
Good. Okay, that's about all we've got time for, I think. We've got our contact details.
Yeah. So our contact details are here. So we're located in the UK. We're located in the US, in New York, and also in Dubai. So the contact details are there if you want to get in touch. If you have any problems, then just get in touch with us using one of those telephone numbers, or drop us an email to sales@intraface.com. We can show you any personalised demos. If you want to see something in particular, we can have one of our sales engineers set up a demonstration online to show you anything. So please do get in touch. And like I mentioned at the start, if you've got any questions throughout the week, just fire us an email to live@intraface.com, and we can answer them next week, where it would be 10 AM Eastern Time on a Thursday. So I'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks.